Welcome to the session Webspark 2, the Unity Design System and ET Web Platform's Commitment to Accessibility. If you're just joining us, please note that the remote attendees can put their questions in the Q&A panel and not in the chat because we're not moderating the chat. For attendees here in the room, please hold your questions until the end of the session. We'll try to get in as many of those as possible. If we don't get to them, we still will have presenters here, some of them online and in the room from 5 to 5:30. Otherwise, they'll try to answer them individually over the next few days. Dave Ornelas and Michael Samuelson hail from the ASU Enterprise Technologies Engineering Corps' Web Platforms chapter, where they contribute to the Unity Design System and Webspark 2 CMS products with the intent to provide the ASU community with website tools that are accessible out of the box. Welcome, Michael and David.
Thank you. Yeah, apologies for the acronym on the slides, but do we really need more words here? It's a pretty long title, and everything we do seems to have a lot of words to it. So I'm Michael Samuelson, Principal Web Platforms Engineer in the Enterprise Technology Office. And presenting with me, and I'm going to hand the mic over to him a little bit later, is Dave Ornelas. And spoiler alert, what we're trying to do here is convince you that the Webspark 2 content management system that uses the Unity design system that our chapter in Enterprise Technology produces, that is the best option you have for creating accessible websites and applications around the university and promoting student success as a result. So we're going to cover the Unity design system, what it is at the high level, and then we're going to talk about Webspark 2, the content management system, the framework with the web accessibility built into it through Unity. And then Dave's going to show you up close some of our, or one of our components from Unity that's been implemented in Webspark. So why do we call it Webspark 2? It's our second version. We had a original Webspark, and then we did a really big revamp, and we're now Webspark 2, and it's even more accessible and more exciting. So we launched that a few years back. So let's start with the Unity design system, right? It is a design system. It's a system that we work in collaboration with the brand team here at ASU in order to define a library of components, design components that can be used in ASU's web applications and websites from site to site in order to ensure that we have consistency and baked into it out of the box accessibility and a consistent experience. So the Unity design system is a number of things, but at its heart, we have built on top of the Bootstrap 5 HTML and CSS framework for web pages and applications. And one of the reasons why we like it, it's used everywhere and it takes accessibility seriously. So just a quick jump off to show you our reference site here, unity.web.asu.edu. It is a bit developer centric, but from here we have all of our components. So we have intro details, components, and then our reference library of design elements. So this is the sort of thing we're talking about. I want to put a button on my page. Well, how do I, or into my web application? How do I do that? Here's the markup. You follow what we provide here and you get it out of the box. So this is basically your template for how to implement. I keep picking the wrong things. Let's pick a good one. How about heroes? There we go. I want to add a hero to my web page. How would I go about doing that? If you use the the Unity design system, all you have to do is copy this markup, put it in your application or in your page, and you get it. But it gets even better. This is if you're implementing Unity, but we're going to talk a little bit later about the Webspark CMS, which does all that work for you, and you get to use a nice graphical user interface that's accessible to build your sites. So I just showed you that page there, and on there we had links off to the Unity Bootstrap theme, which is what I was showing you. That's our base theme. You include that in your web application. You use markup that matches, you get those styles. We also have React components. So these are highly interactive components, things like, well, our header and footer, pagers, tabbed panels, card arrangements, image carousels. Previously, that Webspark 1 that we had, people would build things in there and everybody would build it a different way. And with Unity, we're able to unify around a single component for a single purpose. People grab it off the shelf and use it. It's consistent from site to site, page to page. And with that consistency comes improved usability. With improved usability, more accessibility, but also do know that from the get-go, we have baked accessibility in with all of these components. So kind of spoken to these bullets already: a consistent brand, consistent learnable user interface across all of ASU's web properties, and avoiding a proliferation of implementations. So, and whenever possible, we sometimes engineers have that mindset of, well, it wasn't built here, we want to do it ourselves from scratch. Well, with us, we like to look at, hey, what are the best practices out there? Let's look at what the defined best practice is based on usability testing, accessibility testing, and let's implement that. No need to make things complicated. And it also means that if somebody's used to this accessible design that they've encountered all across the web, they get to one of ASU's web properties, they're going to experience the exact same thing. So this ARIA authoring practices guide, a tool we come to often. A lot of these things you see here, image carousels, buttons, those are things I was showing from our design system. We take our cue from a lot of these best practices that already exist. So I talked about some of the examples of the pieces that we provide over here. I can, you know what, I'm going to show you those a little bit later. So I'm not going to get to that yet. But do know also, though, that we are learning robots. And with the Unity design system, we bake in analytical tools. So we have a data layer that when people are using our components, we get back metrics on what gets clicks, what's working, what's not working, and we can make future improvements and enhancements that better support the usability of our tools. Where a lot of these practices happen in industry to maximize people's time and money spent, with us, it's all about how do we make that experience more accessible, more usable, and how do we promote student and faculty and staff success here at ASU. So that was the Unity design system. So Webspark, content management system. What is that? It's an application that allows someone using it to create websites or web applications that basically consist of content presented to a user. But with that presentation of that content to the user, you want to make sure that it's accessible. The Webspark 2 CMS, we build it on top of the Drupal 9 content management system. It's been around forever, and it's highly accessible, and it puts accessibility in mind in what it does. And we sort of not retrofit, sounds like we're making it work backwards, but we we fit it with our Unity design system on top. So we've essentially taken this content management system. The design system is worn on the content management system like a set of clothes. So it's turnkey, it's accessible out of the box, and we build into our interface such that when you're creating your content, you're going to be steered towards the best practices for accessibility. Additionally, the interface is accessible, and that means that we're not only being accessible outward facing to our students and other customers coming to our pages, but also inwardly to our site designers and site builders and maintainers. So again, consistency is what it's all about. That Webspark 1, I want an image gallery. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. People would take their sites and they would do it themselves. With Webspark, we provide an image gallery and a means to implement that. Additionally, we've took a long, hard look at the interface in the original Webspark, that people had to learn all these Byzantine paths to get to different pages to add their content and do what they want. Now, with our new design, it's a very repeatable pattern, and people build their pages like brickwork, actually. So I've got over here, this is an example of one of our Webspark sites. And so what you're seeing here is the Unity design system with content added through the Webspark interface. So up here, we've got this header, and if you see me here, I'm tabbing through this. So hey, skip to main content, report an accessibility problem. All that is built in here. And I'm tabbing, so I can navigate this. This is the universal navigation across ASU's web properties. I can navigate this. All of this I'm doing through the keyboard, and I can swap over here, etc. Move through all this, and then that brickwork laying out of a page that I was talking about, right? So that header, we got that. We also could add an alert to our page. We could add a hero to our page. So you're seeing these different bits that get added to the page. Why Unity, these cards, all this, these are those design components that are coming from that Unity design system. And they're in here. They've been tested for accessibility, and they're ready to go. So like how somebody would interact with this as an administrator to build up that site. Really, it's kind of outside of the scope here to get into this, but you can see here now I've got all that brickwork that I'm talking about. I want to configure my hero. Well, I can do that here, right? Unleash your creativity. That's how it gets there. It's this form. All of these components in this page are managed through a very similar, repeatable pattern. People don't have to go to different pages to do that. It's all here. So switching back to my slides now. Oh, so some more benefits of using Webspark is improvements and updates are coming out every quarter. We're working constantly on improving this. We have a pipeline for people to submit tickets and issues, including reporting accessibility issues, so that we can respond and improve what we do. Because anybody who's worked in the space of accessibility, you realize that it's not like this, it's a software engineering term, but Boolean sort of true or false value of either we're accessible or we're not. It's a journey and it's a process, and you can always get better. And that's what we're committed to. Additionally, with this, we're really big on community support, and we have a service desk where we accept tickets, a service team. We have resources available, including videos and other tools to help people learn how to use Webspark. And we host monthly support hours to support our community, because we do believe that what we do is about community. So the web community Slack channel. It's a great place to find us and to get involved there. And now we're to our third part of this presentation. I think we're pretty close to on time, Dave, and I'm going to hand the mic over to you.
All right. Should I share my screen or just kind of go through here? I feel like it's probably.
Yeah, I can stop if you were going to show some other slides or some stuff outside of the slides, right?
Yeah.
Just let me stop.
Some
and
quick
pictures.
demos. Quick. All right, so I'm gonna kind of do more of a deep dive into Unity. That's kind of what I usually work on. So the majority of our Unity components, they are built using Bootstrap. That's kind of the underlying framework that we built almost all of our components, and the main Unity Bootstrap theme also utilizes Bootstrap. And because Bootstrap is so widely used, it is used in so many sites. It's constantly being tested. There's constantly people using it for different applications, different things. So if there is any accessibility problems, typically they're known pretty fast, or people at least let others know, and then you can kind of build on top of that if you need some sort of quick fix. But I think that's definitely a huge benefit of using Unity and using just kind of Webspark. It's because it's kind of already been tested so much. So that's a huge benefit. And it's going to constantly be tested over and over again. So I'm going to do kind of a deep dive into the web directory, which you've probably seen. The web directory is the Unity and the Webspark component that we use to kind of create the faculty and staff listings. They're based on the integrated search web directory. So if you go onto integrated search and you look someone up, that's typically what's going to come out in the actual web directory. So I'm gonna kind of talk about some of the features that we kind of focused on to make sure that we're accessible and just kind of out of the box. People can use keyboard navigation if they're using some sort of like a voiceover. They're accessible to the best of our knowledge. Yeah, so go through the tabbed panels. So you can find this on the faculty rank. It's one of the newer web directory listings. So you might not have seen it. But yeah, we kind of made sure to utilize proper contrast and the shadows and the text, keyboard navigation to make sure each selected tab to kind of make sure that the user knows that a certain tab is selected. Also tab navigation. If they don't want to actually use, if they don't want to be stuck in there, they can just tab out of there. And if you are using some sort of like a screen reader or like a voiceover, it does let you know which tab is currently selected. The pagination, which you've probably seen on quite a few pages, it's pretty widely used. It took a lot of the accessibility, so it kind of inherits a lot of it from the tabbed panels. So a lot of that is already present in here, including tab navigation, the clearly selected tab, as you can see here, proper contrast to kind of let all the users know which tab is selected, proper descriptions on these little ellipses right here to let the user know that there are more pages that aren't currently being shown. Moving on to the alphabetical filtering. So this is an upcoming feature. We can see it right now in the Unity website that Michael was showing. So you can kind of see here, you can tap through it, include, and all of this, if you are using some sort of like a voiceover, it'll clearly clearly read out which one is currently selected, if they are selected, and then you can tab out of here so you're not kind of stuck in there. So that one is fairly new. Should be available soon. Not sure exactly the day, so I'm not gonna.
Next Webspark release.
Next
It
one.
merged yesterday. So
Yeah, so that also kind of inherits some of the accessibility from the tapped panels as well. We kind of took that, and I think you can kind of see a pattern here how we like to inherit from things that are already working. If we don't have to build something from scratch and have to kind of create the accessibility kind of out of nowhere, we don't want to. It's kind of easier to already take something that's currently working and just kind of tweak it a little kind of to what we need it for. So yeah, this kind of touches on what was kind of already said, why use Unity. Because everything's already been tested. We've created this so you can just include it onto your website and you don't have to do at least too much extra work. It's kind of already like a turnkey solution, like how Michael said, you can just include it and it works. We've done all the work for you. So it's always nice to know that someone else already made sure this works, so you can kind of rest assured already knowing that your site is going to be accessible. So here are just kind of some of the resources if you need to report an accessibility problem. The web dev support hours that were kind of mentioned before, we like to include if you have any problems with Unity. We usually have a couple developers in there that can also answer those questions. And yeah, if you need the site, it's right here to kind of look at all the Unity components. That is it for me.
yeah, we're open to questions if you have them. One thing that's maybe worth noting, we're pretty darn partial to Webspark because it's our baby. It uses Unity, but there are other content management systems and applications across the university that also implement the Unity design system. So that's one of the benefits of that, is that we're able to, at this source point, create this design system that other applications can implement. But Webspark is ours. So
Thank you, David. Thank you, Michael. We don't have any questions in the QA online currently, but are there any questions in the room here?
Hey guys, great job. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh, there we go. So I know one thing that you guys worked really hard on is making sure that people can't upload an image until they've written alt text for that image, or they've specifically marked it, no, this is decorative.
yeah,
So in that case, I know there's no way you can put in images in Webspark that are not accessible. What about other content? Like, couldn't I throw content in there that might make my page inaccessible? And how do I avoid that?
right. Well, like for instance, videos, right? Somebody could put a video that they haven't enabled captioning on, and that's a great point. What we do as much as possible in those scenarios, we're not positioned to test the videos that are coming in on someone's site over here that they've implemented. But what we do is provide as much as possible the information in the context. We have descriptive help text that gives the best practices and the the pointers to educate our users as they interact with the interface software. So yeah, there's some amount of it that is just learning.
We have a couple more questions in the room, and then I'll check the QA.
Excellent.
Hello, I work for ASU EP Enterprise Partners, and I'm not in the academic units. Is this something I can use? Or
Yes. Dave, I'm going to start sharing my screen. And if you go to, oh, I'm going the wrong direction. That's why it doesn't work. So webservices.asu.edu, that is the site that tells you all about Webspark and how to get started. And there are, so you can create a sandbox site for free, but in order to launch and have a domain name attached to it, it does work up into a fee for that. And it is, so we're in the web space, we're Dave and I are on the development side. So if you go through this and plan your site and all this, these resources, it will direct you towards the web services team, which is really responsive in helping folks build their sites and get them out there. Great question.
Yeah, and then if you have any questions as well, there's a really good Slack channel, web community we're all a part of. So if you have any questions or anything like that, we're usually pretty quick to answer, at least point you to someone who maybe can answer it a little better,
Sure.
if we can.
And to maybe put too fine a point on it, with the web services, the hosting is already part of the package when you're using this tool. So all that stuff has been built out for you, and then the resources, etc. Yeah.
Okay, we have no other QA. I think your question, or rather your answer, answered the other question. So we are done. Thank you so much for your presentation today and for sharing your knowledge.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you, Michael and David. We'll begin the next session in 1 minute, but I will remind you that those of you in the room are free to stand up during sessions and walk over to the table and get treats and stuff like that.
The vegetables are extra crispy and delicious.